In the world of high-end perfumery, people think fragrance is just about mixing flowers and water. They see the beautiful glass bottles, the celebrity endorsements, and the romantic commercials. But what the elite fashion houses never show you is the brutal, unforgiving molecular chemistry happening in the laboratory. Creating a multi-million-dollar fragrance is not an art, it is a psychological weapon disguised as a liquid. You have to synthesize unstable organic compounds, extract volatile essential oils, and balance them so perfectly that they tell a story on the human skin. A true nose, a master perfumer, can identify over 3,000 individual molecules. I have spent my entire life learning how to bind invisible chemicals together to make people fall in love. I just never realized while I was obsessively calculating the evaporation rates of my top notes, the foundation of my own marriage was completely evaporating into empty air. My name is Silas. I'm 38 years old, and I am a master perfumer and lead chemical synthesizer for bespoke fragrances. 5 years ago, I married Genevieve. Genevieve was a highly ambitious public relations executive for the luxury cosmetics industry. She thrived in the glamorous, champagne-soaked world of Paris fashion weeks, red carpets, and high society galas. I was the introverted chemist who spent 14 hours a day in a sterile lab smelling like ethanol and pure ambergris. We were opposites, but I thought we were the perfect blend. She sold the fantasy, and I manufactured the reality. For 4 agonizing, exhausting years, I poured every ounce of my personal savings and my sanity into my absolute magnum opus. I called it Project Ambrosia. It wasn't just a perfume. I had successfully synthesized the scent profile of a nearly extinct night-blooming orchid and bound it to a proprietary, long-lasting synthetic musk. The scent was hypnotic. It was intoxicating. It was the holy grail of the fragrance world. Major cosmetic conglomerates were spending tens of millions of dollars trying to formulate something even close to it. The intellectual property and chemical patents for Ambrosia were conservatively appraised at $20 million. I promised Genevieve this formula was our golden ticket. I told her that when I finalized the chemical fixatives, we would license the patent, launch our own boutique fragrance house, and she would be the most powerful CEO in the industry. But Genevieve didn't want to build a brand from the ground up. She looked at my lab coat, my exhausted eyes, and the sterile walls of my workspace, and she decided she wanted the $20 million, but she wanted to share the red carpet with someone else. The top notes of our marriage started to curdle when Genevieve's PR agency signed a massive new client, a global cosmetics and beauty conglomerate. The CEO of that conglomerate was a man named Laurent. Laurent was 42 years old and the absolute poster boy for corporate arrogance. He wasn't a chemist. He didn't know the difference between bergamot and cheap synthetic lemon. He was a ruthless venture capitalist who bought up small, passionate fragrance houses, watered down their formulas to save money, and sold them to the masses at a massive markup. He wore custom silk suits, flew his private jet between New York and Milan, and treated brilliant scientists like disposable factory workers. Suddenly, Genevieve was spending all her time at Laurent's glass tower headquarters, claiming she was restructuring his global brand strategy. The red flags didn't just quietly appear, they smelled like sulfur in a clean room. First, the profound, unapologetic disrespect. Genevieve started actively belittling my life's work. "Silas, you need to wake up," she scoffed one evening, tossing her $4,000 designer handbag onto my desk. "Laurent manages a $500 million supply chain. He commands the global market. You've been sitting in a basement sniffing paper strips for 4 years and haven't made a single dime. You lack corporate vision. Nobody cares about your molecular purity. They care about the bottle it comes in." Second, the intense, unnatural secrecy regarding her devices. Genevieve changed the passcode on her phone and her laptop. She started taking crisis marketing calls in her car, sitting in the driveway with the engine running for 40 minutes before coming inside. Third, and by far the most terrifying, was her sudden, highly specific interest in my laboratory vault. Genevieve, a woman who absolutely loathed the clinical smell of my studio, suddenly asked me exactly where I kept the physical USB drive containing the mass spectrometry data for ambrosia and if the physical prototype vats were ready for bottling. When a PR executive suddenly cares about the encryption status of a $20 million chemical formula, you don't answer the question, you check the air filtration logs. When you keep a $20 million proprietary chemical formula on a hard drive, you don't just rely on a simple padlock. My entire laboratory was routed through a custom telemetry mainframe that logged every single motion, temperature shift, and air filtration anomaly on the local network. One Saturday night, while Genevieve was supposedly at a weekend wellness retreat in the city, my phone vibrated with a critical priority alert from the lab. I pulled my car into an empty parking lot, opened my secure server app, and tapped into the network feed. Someone was actively attempting to execute a mass file transfer from my secure chemical database to an unauthorized external cloud storage locker. I didn't storm into the lab. I simply isolated the connection, artificially slowed the transfer speed to a crawl to buy myself time, and mirrored her laptop screen directly to my iPad. She had her encrypted messaging app open, communicating directly with Laurent. I didn't just find an affair. I found a premeditated multi-million-dollar corporate heist. Laurent wrote, "My lead chemists just reviewed the molecular breakdowns you sneaked out last week. They are completely losing their minds. The longevity of the base note is 10 years ahead of anything Chanel or Dior has. If we launch this as our new flagship fragrance at the Global Beauty Gala in Paris next month, our stock valuation will triple. Have you secured the master formula and the physical vats of the perfume yet?" Genevieve replied, her words dripping with a casual, horrifying cruelty that made the blood freeze in my veins. "I'm copying the master repository from his server right now. The idiot actually thinks I care about his stupid test tubes. Tomorrow, when he goes to his chemistry seminar in London, I'll hire a private transport crew to load the physical vats of the perfume into a truck. Before I leave, I'll open the main ethanol valves and stage a chemical spill. The lab will be condemned by the hazmat team. I'll tell Silas his life's work was destroyed in an accident. He'll be completely devastated. We launch Ambrosia in Paris. I'll serve him with divorce papers, and we'll be on your yacht by Christmas. He's just a naive candle maker, Laurent. He won't be able to fight your corporate lawyers." Laurent responded, "You're a visionary, my love. The candle maker is going to fund our entire empire." I sat alone in the dark, silent cab of my car, staring at the glowing screen as my entire reality shattered. My wife of 5 years was sleeping with a corporate parasite. Together, they were actively plotting to steal 4 years of my blood, sweat, and genius, intentionally sabotage my laboratory, launch my masterpiece on the biggest stage in the world, and leave me completely destitute, believing my work was destroyed. They thought I was just a naive candle maker. They didn't understand the level of absolute, unmitigated chemical destruction a master perfumer is capable of synthesizing. If you want to destroy a fraudulent cosmetic brand, you don't smash their bottles. You let them manufacture the perfume. You let them invite the wealthiest buyers in the world. You let them spray it on their skin. And then you quietly let the chemistry do its job. I didn't confront her. If I yelled and locked the lab, Laurent's army of corporate lawyers would bury me in injunctions, claim they had a verbal contract to the formula, and tie me up in court for a decade until I went bankrupt. I needed them to steal the vats. I needed Laurent to proudly spray my creation onto the elite guests of Paris on live television. So I went to work on the molecular level. I took the true, unencrypted master formula for ambrosia, loaded it onto a secure flash drive, and locked it in a bank vault. Then I turned my attention to the physical 50-gallon vats of the finished fragrance that Genevieve planned to steal. In perfumery, a scent is built in 3 stages: top notes, what you smell immediately; heart notes, the core of the scent; and base notes, the fixatives that linger on the skin for hours. I left the top and heart notes perfectly intact. To the naked nose, to Genevieve, and to Laurent's corporate chemists, the perfume would smell absolutely flawless. It was heaven in a bottle. They could spray it on a paper tester strip and it would remain perfect. But I radically altered the base note. I synthesized a highly unstable, dormant thioester compound, the exact molecular family responsible for the scent of rotting meat, sulfur, and skunk spray. But I didn't just dump it in. I encapsulated the thioester in a microscopic lipid-reactive polymer. Here was the trap. As long as the perfume was in the bottle, or sprayed on a piece of paper, or even sprayed on clothing, it was perfectly stable and smelled amazing. But I engineered the polymer to react violently to 2 specific human catalysts: the natural lipids, oils of human skin, and a body temperature of 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Exactly 15 minutes after the perfume was applied directly to human skin, the body heat would melt the polymer shield, the chemical bonds would violently oxidize, the beautiful, heavenly floral scent would instantly invert, releasing an overpowering, highly concentrated stench of rotting garbage and sulfur. And because it was a high-end fixative, it could not be easily washed off. I sealed the rigged vats. I left the cloned fake formula on my server. The next morning, I packed my bags for my seminar in London. I kissed Genevieve goodbye. "Have a great trip, Silas," she smiled, handing me my coffee. "Take care of the lab, Genevieve," I replied, looking her dead in the eyes. "You know that project is my masterpiece." "I'll guard it with my life," she promised. I drove away. I let her bring the thieves into my sanctuary. I let them steal the bomb. Now, they just had to spray it. I didn't fly to London. I drove straight to the downtown offices of the most aggressive, ruthless intellectual property and corporate fraud attorney in the beauty and pharmaceutical industry. I sat down at his mahogany conference table. I handed him my original time-stamped chemical logs. I handed him the high-definition security footage and the crystal-clear iCloud transcripts of Genevieve and Laurent explicitly conspiring to commit corporate espionage and stage a chemical spill in my lab. And finally, I handed him the official, federally approved patent documentation for the ambrosia formula, which I had secretly expedited and secured exclusively in my own name a month prior. My wife and her accomplice are going to debut this stolen, patented chemical engineering technology at the Global Beauty Gala in Paris next weekend, I told my lawyer calmly. My lawyer reviewed the documents, read the chat logs, and slowly smiled like a shark smelling blood in the water. "Silas, utilizing stolen, patented chemical engineering to solicit tens of millions of dollars from international buyers is a massive, willful federal violation and international fraud. If he presents this, we won't just sue him. The regulatory agencies will literally liquidate his entire cosmetics conglomerate." "Draft the paperwork," I said, "but do not file the injunction yet. Do not stop the gala. Let him bottle it. Let him spray it on the investors. I want him to put his face on it in front of the whole world." On Wednesday afternoon, my phone notified me that the lab doors had been breached. Through the hidden cameras, I watched Laurent's crew illegally load my heavy steel vats into an unmarked truck. Genevieve then opened an ethanol valve, intentionally flooding my workspace to fake a catastrophic accident. She left a white envelope containing divorce papers on a dry counter and walked out. They were laughing. They thought they had just executed the perfect, untouchable heist. They had no idea they had just loaded a biological time bomb onto their own red carpet. Saturday night, live from the Grand Palais in Paris, the undisputed center of the global beauty industry. I sat in my dark hotel room, watching the global broadcast in high definition. The live stream had over 2 million viewers. Laurent was hyping up the crowd, pacing back and forth across the massive stage, absolutely dripping with unearned confidence. The camera panned to the VIP section, and I saw Genevieve standing there, holding a glass of champagne, looking incredibly proud, believing she had just conquered the world. "Ladies and gentlemen," Laurent yelled into his microphone, raising his arms. "For years, my in-house team has been building the impossible. Tonight, we don't just reveal a perfume, we reveal a revolution in fragrance. I present to you the Apex Aura." The crowd went absolutely wild. Models walked through the audience, carrying crystal bottles. Laurent personally stepped off the stage and began eagerly spraying the fragrance directly onto the wrists and necks of the A-list celebrities, billionaire investors, and ruthless beauty critics in the front row. They lifted their wrists to their noses. The critics gasped in awe. The initial scent was flawless, heavenly. Laurent beamed, looking like a god of the industry. I looked at the stopwatch on my phone. 10 minutes passed, 12 minutes. At exactly the 15-minute mark, the body heat of 100 elite guests melted the polymer shields. The chemical catalyst triggered. On the live global broadcast, right in front of the most elite crowd on Earth, the magic violently died. The flawless, heavenly floral scent instantly inverted. The microscopic thioesters violently oxidized. It started with the famous fashion editor in the front row. She suddenly stopped smiling. She sniffed her wrist again, her face contorting into a mask of pure, unadulterated disgust. She gagged, physically recoiling from her own arm. Within 30 seconds, the entire front row of the gala was hit by the biological shockwave. The overpowering, aggressive, utterly nauseating stench of rotting meat, raw sewage, and skunk spray flooded the Grand Palais. The billionaires and celebrities began coughing uncontrollably. People were desperately grabbing napkins, frantically trying to scrub the expensive liquid off their skin. But the high-end fixative I used made it entirely waterproof. The harder they rubbed, the worse it smelled. A wealthy socialite literally knocked her chair over, scrambling toward the exit, covering her mouth to keep from vomiting on the red carpet. The entire convention hall went dead. Dead pin silent, save for the sound of coughing. And then, absolute apocalyptic chaos erupted. "What is that smell?" an investor screamed, backing away from Laurent as if he were radioactive. "It smells like death. You sprayed us with garbage." "It's a bad batch. The chemistry is wrong," Laurent screamed at his assistants, his face turning purple with panic, totally unhinged, looking around the room in absolute horror. He smelled his own wrist and instantly doubled over, gagging on live television. In the VIP box, Genevieve dropped her champagne glass. It shattered. She put her hands over her mouth, her face turning the color of wet concrete. She looked like she was going to pass out. The guests were stampeding for the doors, desperate to escape the stench. The live stream chat completely broke. 2 million people had just watched the CEO of a luxury brand poison his own investors with the smell of rotting garbage. I took a slow, deeply satisfying sip of my bourbon, letting the burn settle in my chest. The show was officially over.
You cannot recover from spraying 100 billionaires with the scent of rotting flesh on live television. The fallout was an absolute, unmitigated, scorched earth massacre. The video of the gala dissolving into a coughing, gagging stampede went viral globally within 10 minutes. By Sunday morning, Laurent was the biggest laughingstock in the history of the cosmetics industry. The wealthy investors who had funded the launch immediately pulled their money and filed massive lawsuits against Laurent's conglomerate for gross misrepresentation, fraud, and emotional distress. Because Laurent had sprayed a biologically volatile, unvetted chemical onto human skin, international health and safety regulators launched an immediate, devastating investigation into his firm. His entire empire completely collapsed. His products were pulled from shelves globally. He was ousted as CEO by his own board of directors in less than 48 hours. Genevieve's life was vaporized. Laurent, realizing he was facing federal indictments and total bankruptcy, immediately blamed her. He told investigators that she was a rogue PR director who had supplied him with stolen toxic chemicals without his knowledge, throwing her to the wolves to save himself. She called me from a hotel room in Paris, sobbing so hard she was hyperventilating. Silas, please. The investors are suing me. Laurent dumped me. The perfume smells like death. You have to tell them you made a mistake with the formula. Please, I have nothing." "I didn't make a mistake, Genevieve," I said calmly, leaning back in my chair. "I gave you exactly what you stole. You just forgot to do your thermal stress tests. I read your messages about staging the chemical spill, by the way. By the way, check your email. You've been served with a federal lawsuit. Enjoy the stench." I hung up and blocked her number. During our divorce settlement, she had absolutely zero leverage. Because she was facing criminal charges for corporate espionage and property damage against me, the judge awarded me 100% of the marital assets and denied her any alimony. She walked away with millions in legal debt and a felony record. It's been almost 3 years since that gala in Paris. After the dust finally settled and the lawsuits were paid out, I sold the real, fully functioning, beautifully stable patent for the ambrosia formula. I didn't sell it to a corporate hack. I sold it to a legendary, highly respected, centuries-old fragrance house in France, a company that actually understands the chemistry, respects the art, and treats its noses like true partners. I made enough money from that single sale to buy a massive new commercial laboratory, hire a full team of chemists, and my business has never been better. Last I heard, Genevieve avoided prison by taking a plea deal, but she is completely blacklisted from the fashion and PR industries globally. She is currently working at a budget mall kiosk, aggressively spraying cheap synthetic perfume samples at annoyed shoppers who actively try to avoid her. Laurent, completely bankrupt and uninsurable, is buried under a mountain of civil litigation and permanently banned from operating any cosmetics company in Europe or the US. If there is a lesson to be learned here, it's a simple one. A beautiful top note means absolutely nothing if the base chemistry is fundamentally corrupt. If your partner thinks they can steal your hard work, push you into the shadows, and take the spotlight for themselves, don't try to pull them off the stage. Don't fight them for the bottle. Let them steal the vats. Let them plan their masterpiece. And right when they think they're about to pull off the ultimate spectacle, just wait for the heat to rise and let the whole world smell exactly who they really are. Thanks for listening to my story. If you enjoyed this one, drop a like, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comments what's the most embarrassing public failure you've ever witnessed. Stay sharp, trust the science, and always check the base notes.